Look, I didn't want to be a half-blood. If you're reading this because you think you might be one, my advice is close this book right now.
Telling the reader to stop reading in literally the second sentence of the book. Also, breaking the fourth wall.
I don't remember touching her, but the next thing I knew, Nancy was sitting on her butt in the fountain, screaming, "Percy pushed me!" Some of the kids were whispering, "Did you see? The water. Like it grabbed her."
Wait a minute. How are these kids seeing this? Isn't the mist supposed to be some all-powerful force that stops regular people from seeing anything magical? Or am I supposed to believe that these kids are demigods, or monsters, or...
"Wait," Grover yelped. "It was me. I pushed her."
Why haven't Grover or Chiron done anything about Mrs. Dodds, where it's so clearly obvious that she's a monster? Weren't they assigned to the school to guard Percy?
Mr. Brunner, who'd been out in front of the museum a minute before, wheeled his chair into the doorway of the gallery, holding a pen in his hand. "What ho, Percy!" he shouted, and tossed the pen through the air.
Giving the untrained 12-year-old a pen instead of fighting the monster yourself. And don't give me that he was too far away rubbish, because all future evidence shows that Chiron is one of the world's best archers.
The metal blade hit her shoulder and passed clean through her body as if she were made of water.
Wow, for being one of Hades' three furies, Mrs. Dodds goes out like a little wimp.
"Sir," I said, "where's Mrs. Dodds?"
Okay, so bear with me for a second while I address the elephant in the room. I can believe there's magic called mist out there that fools mortals into seeing mystical things as something more comprehensible. What I don't believe, however, is for a monster teacher to suddenly vanish from everyone's memories and be replaced by somebody else within seconds. Where did the mist even find her? Doesn't she have any personal possessions that conflict with the mist's memories? And what happened to the new teacher's last job? Was there a replacement there too? Now this may not matter in terms of the story, but it matters to me, damn it. Just how many lives has this mist ruined to satisfy its own demon agenda? How many, Rick? I want answers.
From his shirt pocket, he fished out a grubby business card.
Wait, Grover has a business card? Why? This is the one and only time throughout the series that we've seen him with one.
He managed the electronics megamart in Queens, but he stayed home most of the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2020 in a nutshell.
"So this money for your trip, it comes out of your clothes budget, right?"
How has Gabe not been arrested for domestic violence, child abuse, and just being an all-around douchebag?
The screen door slammed shut so hard it whacked him in the butt and sent him flying up the staircase as if he'd been shot from a cannon.
Wait, what? Percy is son of the sea god. Since when do water powers equate to pushing things without touching them? Rick, my friend, you are one step away from getting a lawsuit from a woman that turned her own series into fanfiction.
Those were the fates. Do you know what it means? The fact that they appeared in front of you? They only do that when someone's about to die.
So we need to find out all the way in book 5 that the fates were actually showing a certain other character's death. My question is, why the heck did they choose to appear 5 years earlier? Also, there are plenty of other characters close to Percy that died throughout the series, and yet the fates never appear for them, selling the fates for being lazy at their job.
But it's a Don't say its name, she warned. Names have power.
No, they don't.
And you already know Chiron. He pointed at the guy whose back was to me. First, I realized he was sitting in the wheelchair.
Why is Chiron still in his wheelchair now that he's at Camp Half-Blood? You could argue that it's to stop Percy from being overwhelmed, but he's already fought a Fury, a Minotaur, and found out that his best friend is a satyr, The time for being settled has long since passed.
Chiron told me the camp grew a nice crop for export to New York restaurants at Mount Olympus. It pays our expenses, he explained.
Why do these mythological beings need mortal money again? Don't they have their own currency?
Grover won't get in too much trouble, will he? I asked Chiron. I mean, he was a good protector, really.
He was. Grover's been nothing but a liability so far. Percy's the one that fought all the monsters, and even his mom was more useful, driving the car and teaching him how to fight.
Something had occurred to me when Chiron talked about my mother's fate as if he were intentionally avoiding the word death.
How does Chiron know that Percy's mother isn't dead? Grover was unconscious, so the only one that saw her turn to life was Percy.
Annabeth stood in the corner, watching through her fingers. Clarice bent me over on my knees and started pushing my head toward the toilet bowl.
Annabeth turned into a real wimp in this scene, and it doesn't at all suit her character.
What's the most common thing gods did in the old stories? They ran around falling in love with humans and having kids with them.
But why is everything about demigods so secret now as opposed to back then? Did the mist not exist 2,000 years ago?
Empire State Building, special elevator to the 600th floor. She looked at me like she was sure I must know this already.
Why would Annabeth expect Percy to know things like this? He's only just found out that he was a demigod.
Each morning I took ancient Greek from Annabeth.
Wait, Percy takes lessons from somebody his own age? You'd think they'd have teachers to teach ancient Greek in a camp dedicated to it.
Clarice yelled. It's all Percy's fault. Percy summoned it.
Right. Percy summoned a hellhound that almost completely ended up biting his face off.
Hail, Perseus Jackson, son of the sea god.
You know, I'm glad that Percy ended up the son of Poseidon. It gives the series some well-needed originality, since you just know that any other author would have made him Zeus's kid.
You could easily have snuck into Olympus. Zeus believes he has found his thief.
Question, how does one sneak into Olympus? Isn't the elevator barred by the security guy? Also, doesn't the Empire State Building have CCTVs?
Gods cannot cross each other's territories except by invitation. That is another ancient rule.
Who enforces these ancient rules against immortal Greek gods? Apart from the author, that is.
Annabeth became visible, stuffing her Yankees cap into her back pocket.
Why was Annabeth invisible during the meeting? Was there any point to that at all?
Grover wore his fake feet and his pants to pass as human.
Is there any reason why Grover needs to wear this now that Percy knows about the Greek world? Shouldn't the mist be enough of a disguise against mortals?
Chiron was waiting for us in his wheelchair.
Again, why the heck is Chiron using his wheelchair while at camp? Didn't he say that staying in it all the time was uncomfortable?
So, what was it like before the gods? Chiron pursed his lips. Even I am not old enough to remember that, child.
What do you mean you're not old enough to remember? Isn't Kronos supposed to be your father?
Your mom married Gabe for you, Grover told me. You call him smelly, but you've got no idea.
Right, because marrying Gabe was the only way to mask Percy's scent. Couldn't Percy's mom have him use extra strong deodorant or something?
Mortals don't have good eyes, Annabeth reminded me. Their brains can only process what they see through the mist.
But only when it's convenient for the plot.
The Furies regained their balance. They lashed their whips at Annabeth while she waved her knife and yelled in ancient Greek, telling them to back off. Grover threw tin cans.
Seriously, is there any reason why Grover is on this quest to save the world? I know he gets better later on, but right now, this guy is more useless than Ron Weasley.
Percy, look out! Annabeth cried.
The Furies are right in front of him, Annabeth. I think Percy can see them perfectly fine.
While Grover ripped the whip out of her hands.
Hey, would you look at that? Grover finally did something useful.
Ow! He yelled. Ow! Hot! Hot!
Never mind.
Annabeth and Grover and I.
Who uses the word and twice like that? Shouldn't it be Annabeth, Grover, and I?
Grover translated. Auntie M's Garden Gnome Emporium. The front lot was a forest of statues.
In the Greek world, when you have a place named Auntie M and has a bunch of statues near the entrance, you leave immediately. If you knock on the front door, you deserve to be turned into stone.
I scrambled away and hid in the statuary while Grover swooped down for another pass. Crack! Arr! Medusa yelled.
You know, I've been pretty harsh on Grover so far, but he earned some of my respect in this fight against Medusa. I'm going to take a spin off for that.
How does Gladiola know about the reward? I asked. He read the signs, Grover said. Duh.
I suspend my disbelief for a lot of things in a Greek fantasy world full of magic. A non-magical pink doodle that knows how to read English is not among those things.
Once, he shuffled around and his fake foot fell off. Annabeth and I had to stick it back on before any of the other passengers noticed.
But they should have noticed, right? Honestly, the mist works so inconsistently in this universe that I might be compelled to do a bonus round in the future.
But he always talked about my arrival as if it were the most inconvenient thing that ever happened to him.
About that, Athena literally dumped a child at Dr. Chase's doorstep without consent. And considering the weird brainchild angle, their relationship got to second base at best.
When I was 5, he got married and totally forgot about Athena. He got a regular mortal wife and had 2 regular mortal kids and tried to pretend I didn't exist.
Can you really blame him, though? His relationship with Athena was barely above platonic, and even that's being generous. I'm not saying that makes it okay for Dr. Chase to abandon Annabeth. What I am saying is that Athena is a great deal more responsible and should be sent.
Well, hey, Grover cleared his throat. We're in a public place? You mean our friend downstairs?
Why is it sometimes gods are treated like some omnipotent beings that should never be mentioned by name, while most of the time people just use them in casual conversation?
If found, please call Tartarus, extension 954.
Tartarus has a phone? Why? How? I have so many questions that aren't going to be answered, and that's a sin.
If you are the son of Poseidon, Echidna hissed, you would not fear water. Jump, Percy Jackson. Show me that water will not harm you.
Why is Echidna saying any of this? Isn't she under orders to kill Percy, or interrogate him for the location of the vault?
She was saying, and then this huge dog, this huge fire-breathing chihuahua?
Yet another mortal who can see through the mist. Look, I can buy that there are some mortals like Percy's mom, and later Rachel who can see the monsters. But why is it that they always happen to be within a 5-foot radius of Percy?
She threw the drachma into the rainbow. It disappeared into a golden shimmer. Half-Blood Hill, Annabeth requested.
Wait a minute. Annabeth didn't provide a name. All future evidence of Eric's messaging shows that you need a name and a location for it to work.
Clever with his hands and all, but Aphrodite isn't into brains and talent, you know?
So why did you marry him?
He laughed. Ha ha ha. Oh yeah? See you around, kid.
Why does the narrator need to say, he laughed, and then proceed to laugh? I know it's to stay loyal to the book, but wouldn't it be so much better if audiobooks were adapted to suit the format?
I was supposed to escort Thalia to camp, he said, sniffling.
It is completely illogical that Chiron would trust Grover with such an important mission.
We knew Hades was after her, see?
Wait, so they knew that the Lord of God himself was after Thalia, and yet Chiron still thought it was a good idea to give godly tea to a junior satyr?
She held out her hand. 3 white pearls flashed in her palm.
And then Chris Columbus said to himself, awesome, let's make a movie about this and ignore literally everything else that goes on in the book. What could possibly go wrong?
There will be a price. You wait.
Ominous warning, Annabeth, but you're wrong. The pirates did exactly what they were supposed to and brought the trio back to the sea.
The kid yelped, but he must have been 100% mortal because the blade passed harmlessly right through his chest.
Okay, so this guy is 100% mortal, but he still somehow saw Percy swing his glowing sword at him.
Whispering masses of people are just milling around in the shadows. If you can picture that, you have a pretty good idea what the fields of Asphodel look like.
Well, either that or the zombie apocalypse.
And into the house of Hades.
Wrong book, buddy. We'll get there at some point.
Fight me yourself, Ares. He laughed, but I heard a little edge to his laughter, in uneasiness.
Ares, the god of war, is scared of fighting a 12-year-old boy.
You claim this child whom you sired against our sacred oath?
Zeus, you did the same thing, you hypocrite. Twice.
But that Ares would do such a thing? It is most unlike him.
Ares is never punished for almost starting a war between the big three. I know that he was partially being controlled by Kronos, but I want my Trials of Ares spin-off series, damn it.
Kronos, I said. That's who you serve. The air got colder.
Here we go, with immortal names being some sort of taboo again, but only when convenient to the plot.
He slashed his sword in an arc and disappeared in a ripple of darkness.
Even in books, the villain just has to leave before making sure the hero is dead.